the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Pat McFadden, a senior government minister, has said this morning the decision to water down the government's welfare bill will have financial consequences.
And Pat McFadden joins us now. Pat McFadden, a week ago, you appeared with us on this programme and said that these welfare reforms and the savings from them were essential for the credibility of the government and the welfare state. 7 days ago, the government was saying any rebel would no longer be a minister in the government, keep the Labour whip. 5 days ago, the U-turns began, and yesterday, all of the savings from the whole legislation were wiped out an hour before the vote. You've been involved in government and politics for 20 years. I don't believe you've seen anything as chaotic as what we saw yesterday.
Look, it's been a very difficult process, and it will have a financial consequence. You can't spend the same money twice, so if money is allocated to this, it's not available for something else. There's no denying that. It was an impassioned debate. We have to take things forward in a different way with the elements of the bill that were passed at second reading, and with the PIP reforms, the most contentious part of the reforms, now being subject to a review carried out by my colleague Stephen Timms, who's the minister in charge of all this, and that's how we'll take that forward now.
I got the Labour manifesto out this morning, and on practically every single page is the pledge, stop the chaos. That's why you came into government, to stop the chaos. And since then, we've had the winter fuel withdrawal and the U-turn on that, the grooming gangs U-turn, we've had the U-turn on the island of strangers speech on immigration, the U-turn on welfare yesterday. By all accounts, this is chaos. Why are you getting it so wrong?
Look, as my colleague, the Work and Pensions Secretary, said last night, I wish we'd reached this conclusion in a different way. But this is a debate, particularly over welfare, that has a long history of producing impassioned debate in the Labour Party and in the Parliamentary Party in particular, and that's because people really care about it. So it's been a difficult process. There's no denying that.
Does that come as a surprise to you?
There's been a long history of it. No, it's not a particular surprise that people are impassioned about this.
Why on earth did you get it so wrong? Of course people care about welfare and things like the winter fuel allowance, because people care about elderly people and they care about people with disabilities. And what they saw was that the Labour government didn't seem to care. Why have you got it so wrong?
Well, look, the need for welfare reform is there. I said, I think maybe on this programme and on others last week, we are a country where we've got a lower proportion of people in work than before the COVID pandemic. Many other countries don't have that. That's why we're so keen to take forward these issues of helping disabled and long-term sick people back into work. We are going to have to do that in a different way now. There is a financial consequence to the decision that was taken, and that's the outcome of these impassioned debates over the last couple of weeks.
Are you saying that the rebels in Parliament got this wrong and that's why there's a financial consequence? Or are you saying that the Chancellor of the Exchequer and the Welfare Secretary got this wrong, making a proposal back in March which wasn't going to be politically supported? Who's to blame?
I don't think blame takes us anywhere. I'm a great believer that we won the election as a team. We stand together as a team, we serve as a team, and we go forward from there. I'm not really interested in blaming
I bet you there's quite a lot of blame game going on within Downing Street and the Treasury this morning, Pat, but I won't ask you to lift the lid on that. Let's just get to this financial consequences question. You've just completed a 3-year spending review. You've set out the allocation of spending until 2029. You can't possibly reopen those spending plans, very, very difficultly negotiated. You're not going to get welfare reform now with savings in the next couple of years at least. The Chancellor of the Exchequer has said no changes to the fiscal rules to allow more borrowing, and you've got a commitment not to raise taxes for working people. So how on earth do you make the sums add up? Where will this financial consequence fall?
Well, this is going to be one moving part of a budget. A budget has maybe 100 or more moving parts. It will have to be factored in, and those decisions will have to be taken in the round when the budget comes. I don't deny the financial consequence, but it's only one part of a whole, much more complicated public spending picture, and all of those decisions will be set out and taken by the Chancellor when the budget comes.
But the reality is, when I listen to that argument, what I hear is it would be better if the economy grew more strongly, but that doesn't look likely. You can't reopen the 3-year spending review. That's just been negotiated and promised. Welfare reform is not on the agenda. To increase borrowing now, with the government's reputation for financial stability in question, would be very, very risky. In the end, the only thing in the budget, the only moving parts available to you and to the Chancellor in the budget is to look again at taxation. That's the only option now, isn't it?
Well, let's see where all these moving parts leave us at the time of the budget. I'm not going to write it today, and in fact, it won't be me who's writing it when the time comes either. It will be the Chancellor of the Exchequer. She'll have to take all of this into account when it comes to do that. That's not for some months, and it will be one part of a complicated government-wide budgetary process.
Yeah, the Chancellor wrote the spring statement and said she was going to make £5 billion of PIP savings, and look what happened to that.
Look, people watching Pat McFadden want to know if their taxes are going to go up. Are they?
Look, we made promises on tax in the manifesto. We kept to them after the election. Those promises stand, and we care about the tax burden on working people.
You did put up employers' rate national insurance, so you did actually put up taxes.
Yeah, I don't deny that some taxes were raised, but we kept to the specific tax promises that we made in the manifesto. That was really important to do. And by the way, by making the tax decisions that
you said no tax increases for working people, but of course employers are working people and they've had to increase taxes.
There was no increase in people's tax that they saw in their pay slip. But the point I'm making
but the Office of Budget Responsibility say that 70% of that national insurance rise will be paid by employees, not employers. And the employers pass it on to their workforce. So the OBR says working people are paying 70% of that employer tax rise.
We kept to the promises that we made in the manifesto. We take those promises seriously. In the round, all the decisions that we made on taxation are the reason we were able to stabilise the economy, the reason why waiting lists are falling for the first time in years, and the reason why today we are able to announce the biggest expansion in social and affordable housing for a generation. Is precisely because we have stabilised the economy, kept to our promises, and got us into a position where we can change the investment story of the country. And this issue that we're announcing today, after that difficult vote last night, of social and affordable housing, will be the biggest attempt to meet one of the most urgent unmet needs in the country for a long, long time. And every MP, however they voted in the debate last night, knows this is an urgent need in their constituency, and we can only begin to meet it now because we won the election, because of the financial decisions we've taken, and because of the leadership shown by Keir Starmer, by Angela Rayner, and by the Chancellor.
And how do people trust that you're not going to U-turn on it?
The financial allocation has been there. It's there for the coming years. And what we're setting out today is a plan of how that's going to be used by councils, housing associations, organisations that have been building very few houses in recent years. They've now got the financial firepower to do that, thanks to the decisions that we made.
Yeah, so there's a £5 billion black hole, there's financial implications, social housing's protected. The axe will fall somewhere else.